Here we go. Okay, so here we are. Final topic of the episode. We're finally here. This is probably going to be the longest segment of the episode, so I'm sorry if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2 and you don't want any spoilers and you're just looking for a random review. Okay, here's my non-spoiler review. Play it, then form your opinion on it. It deserves to be played. It's a game that deserves to be played and deserves to get a chance. Don't just not play it because people say it sucks. Because there's a lot of other people out there that refer to this game as a fucking masterpiece. I don't hold either of those opinions. I have a little bit more complicated thoughts on it, and I'll be explaining that, but I can't do that without spoiling the game. So go play it, and then come back and see my opinions on it. So from here on out, there's going to be spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2, all right? From here on. For both the first Last of Us game and the second Last of Us game. If you haven't played the first one, what are you doing? Play the fucking first Last of Us game. It's one of the greatest narrative-driven single-player video games ever made. Do it. It's one of the best stories I've ever experienced. Go and play it. This one is also going to be spoilers. So, spoilers for both. Now let's fucking get into it. So, alright, Last of Us Part 2. If you don't know what again, we're already here for spoilers. You kind of know Joel fucking dies, all right? He dies in like the first hour and a half of the game, 2 hours into the game, by this girl named Abby, whacks him with the golf club because she was the father of the doctor that Joel kills to save Ellie at the end of the first game. Okay, cool. That's where we are. We know it's out here. That's the only thing that was spoiled for me for the leaks. I kind of stayed away from it. I kind of saw glimpses of the scene where it does happen. I didn't expect it to be so soon, though, but I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was bad. Even before the leaks, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have killed Joel off anyway. I would have been a little bit shocked that he died sooner. But man, I just want to say this really quick. To the person who leaked the spoilers, fuck you. Honestly, go fuck yourself. You really, really ruined that experience for me, and I will never get it back. I will never have that visceral experience of Joel dying and being like Ellie. Man, dude, fuck you. I don't care if you were you didn't like Naughty Dog and you're a disgruntled employee. You don't do that, man. You suck, dude. You just suck. You're terrible. You suck as a person. You just suck. You took away an experience from me, whether it would have been bad or good. I don't know, because I knew what was going to happen. So it was a little bit different, but from there on, I didn't really know what was going to happen. So what was spoiled for me was that part, but it was also spoiled for me that we were going to be controlling Abby for half of the game, and that's kind of where I thought the problems kind of started. But anyway, before we get to that, I just want to just say the overall reception to this game is just so crazy. I've never seen, I don't remember a video game being so goddamn controversial before. I just don't know. I don't know what was the last time a game was just so many people hated, but certain amount of people love at the same time. It's just it's one or the other. You either fucking hate this game, it's one of the worst games ever made, or it's a fucking masterpiece. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle a little bit, but we'll get into that. So, I just think a lot of people also just hate this game just to hate it because I think it's cool. They think it's a cool thing to hate. And that also kind of falls into the themes of the game. It's a lot easier to hate something that you don't understand than forgiving something. We'll get into that a little bit. But before we get into the actual story and what I liked and disliked about the game, I kind of want to just go over general technical things about the game first. It's one of the most beautiful games I think ever made. The graphics are stunning. I think it's the best looking game I have ever seen. I think it's better than Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, granted, Red Dead Redemption 2, having it look a lot like fucking real is a lot more of a feat than The Last of Us 2, since Red Dead Redemption 2 is an open world and this one's just more of a single player story. But still, amazing. The facial animations, like it's like a movie. They're pretty much real. I've never seen better facial animations ever in a game, and it really puts a lot of studios to shame, like Bethesda and BioWare with Fallout and Mass Effect. Like, make them look really bad, with these fucking facial animations being so goddamn good. But the game is smooth. It's smooth gameplay. I never experienced any glitches or crashes with it, which was always good. I mean, the game's long. It's like a 25-hour long game. I never really experienced anything like game-breaking to any extent. The music is amazing. It really helps set the tone and builds atmosphere and makes those intense moments so much more intense and heart pumping and blood curdling. You're like, holy shit, oh my god, this is so intense. It's one of the most intense experiences I've ever had playing a video game. I mean, that's kind of held in with the gameplay and the set pieces. The set pieces in this game are insane. Some of the set pieces in this game are like jaw-dropping. You're like, holy shit, this is insane. This is intense. So that really makes the game really cool and the gameplay really awesome. You feel the impacts of every single kill, whether it's by shooting someone or whacking someone with a fucking pipe or whatever. Like every fucking assassination, you feel every kill. Like the impact is crazy. I mean, just the gameplay in general has been improved, but it wasn't innovated enough for me to really love it. If you like the gameplay from the first game, you're gonna like the gameplay for this game. It's the same. It's just kind of improved a little bit. I will say the gameplay of just getting shit and then crafting stuff and shooting and it gets pretty fucking old after the 15th hour, and you still have 10 more hours to go. By the time you get to Abby's part, you're like, okay, I'm kind of done with this gameplay. I'm kind of it really kind of hurts the game for me. I like the gameplay, but not 25 whole hours of it. So that kind of got a little bit anyway. So since we got all the technical aspects out of the way, I think technically the game is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece in just video game creation, graphically, animation, music, just some of the gameplay, the set pieces. Learn how to do set pieces from this game. It's pretty intense. But yeah. So now, how does the story match up to it? Does it match up? Parts of it do. Parts of it really do. Some parts of the story are so good. Some of it is so great. I think Ellie's segment is really awesome. I love Ellie's first 12 to 13, 14 hours. Even though some of it is a little bit kind of stupid, how you're just going around a city with a map solving stupid puzzles. That really holds back from the story. I mean, it's better if you just fucking watch. If you would just watch the story, it might even be it might flow a little bit better and might, speed things a little bit. But you'd miss all those really intense moments, those intense set piece moments, then you're actually experiencing them, which makes it a lot that more intense. But I don't know. I think the game. I think the story structure is flawed. I don't think it's structured very well. But I mean, there's segments like the flashbacks where there's this moment where Ellie flashes back to when she was kind of a kid and it's her birthday, and Joel takes her to a museum, and it's a bunch of dinosaurs and fossils and also some space NASA stuff. It was such a beautiful moment in the game, and I was just like, this is great. This is so good. I thought a lot of stuff, whenever the game flashes back with Ellie, I thought was great. But then, it builds up to this moment, and I'm really enjoying the experience. It builds up to this moment when you're in the theater and Abby comes back after you've killed pretty much everyone that she cares about. And she comes back, and, you're at that, peak climactic moment. And then it flashes back to Abby. And then you learn about Abby and where she came from and, why she does the shit that she does. Which I think is important for the story you're telling, but it's not as important to make me play as her for, the next 15 fucking hours. Every single, I was going through Abby's story. I'm like, let's get to the next cutscene so I can get back to the fucking theater. I want to get back to the theater. I understand. Okay, I get it. I sympathize with Abby's character, and I like Abby's character, but I hate everyone else around her, All the other characters that are around her, all the wolves, they're all shitty people. And they, really push this, oh, you gotta like Abby. You like Abby, right? She gets to pet dogs, and she has a sense of humor, and she's, worked her whole life to turn herself into a weapon. Yeah, I like Abby. I do like Abby. I'm like, oh, look at this. She's basically doing a whole Joel journey with this, random scar that she, found. That Seraphite clan member who saved her and all that shit. Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. Fun. But, I didn't need to play with her for 15 hours to get that, to get the message. I really wanted to get back to that theater. You build it up, and then it's you take another 15 hours back to get back to that climactic moment. The structure of the story does not do the game the story any favors. It really detracts from it. And I thought, it's a very bold choice. It's a very bold choice to make you play as Abby for the entire half of the game. I mean, I understand why people are so pissed, because it borderlines false advertising a little bit, because we were advertised this is going to be Ellie's game. This is Ellie's game. You're going to be playing as Ellie, and you only play as Ellie for a little bit more than half of the game. And the other half you play as Abby, which no one really asked to play as. You know what I mean? I think it would have been interesting to maybe have Abby and Ellie meet up at the very beginning of the game and go on this big journey, getting back to either Joel, but Ellie doesn't know that Abby's searching for Joel to kill him, and Abby doesn't know who Ellie is. You know what I mean? And they build this relationship, and at the very end of the game, Abby finds Joel and she kills Joel, and that's you deal with that shit at the very end of the game, instead of doing this whole revenge plot, which is fine. I mean, it helps with the themes that it's trying to tell you and trying to hammer home. This whole, a lot of people are shitting on and oversimplifying this game, that it's just a game about revenge is bad. And yeah, no shit, revenge is bad. Look where it gets you. Look where it gets Ellie and Abby at the very end of the game. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't make you conquer your demons at all. Obviously that's bad. This game mirrors the first game. The first game, there's this this overwhelming theme that's not very original, where in this apocalyptic world, it's not the zombies we have to look out for. It's not the zombies that are the bad guys. It's humans. It's us. We have to look out for each other, because we're the bad guys. That theme's been done to death. You have Walking Dead, 28 Days Later, the Fallout game, any post-apocalyptic game. It's always humans that are causing the trouble with each other. It's never the actual apocalypse, really. So that's not very original. But what is original is how far are you willing to go to save the ones you love? Do the ends justify the means? That's not the most original thing ever, but it's the story, and it's the characters that you play through the game, and you eventually learn to love and accept them, accept their faults, and just be in love with them. The first game really took care of the characters. This game kind of does a little bit of the opposite. It focuses on themes rather than characters a little bit, but it still cares about the characters. I don't think it completely disregards the characters. I don't think it's not offensively. A lot of people are saying like, oh my god, it just completely destroys Joel's and Ellie's character. No, it doesn't. Actually, it really enhances them, and it really tells an important story. I do understand the necessity of telling the story that they told. This game, yes, revenge is bad, and look where it gets you, but it's also about forgiveness and how it's a lot easier to hate something and someone that you don't understand, that you're against, rather than accepting them and forgiving them for what they do and what they believe in. It's very topical. It's a very topical theme, especially today, where a lot of people are so adversarial about things. Just look at the fucking wearing the mask. It's really not a political issue. People are not making a political stance about fucking wearing a mask. They just want to try to be safe. And a lot of people are like, oh, the government can't force me to wear a mask. It's like, no, just wear the fucking mask and be considerate. You don't have to be adversarial about this shit. It's so dumb. Hating something is kind of stupid, and that's what it shows you. Both Abby and Ellie, result into hating one another, even though they're very much alike in a lot of ways. They're both generally good people, but they just do bad things because of hatred. And at the very end, a lot of people shit on the ending because Ellie doesn't kill Abby at the very end. And you're like, oh, what the fuck was this whole fucking game for? But at the very end of the game, she sees, Joel, all battered, and that results into a fight. And then when Ellie's about to kill Abby and drowning her, she sees another vision of Joel when he's sitting on the porch with a guitar. She sees him, and then she lets Abby go and lives. And then you find out at the very end that vision that she saw, that is the last time Joel and Ellie ever spoke to one another. And it was the moment where Ellie told Joel that she was going to try to forgive him. And then the fact that she saw that and let Abby go, it's signifying her forgiveness. She forgave Joel, and she finally has closure. She forgave Joel, even though, an argument can be made that she lost everything and she's broken at the very end of the game. I would argue she's not. She's more together than ever before, really, because she forgave Joel. Yes, she lost her finger. She can't play the guitar anymore. She doesn't have Joel anymore. She doesn't have Dina. She doesn't have their surrogate, child in their beautiful heavenly farmhouse, She doesn't have Tommy or anyone. She doesn't have anyone. She didn't even get to kill Abby at the very end. But she forgave Joel at the end, though. That's what's really important. That's the message that they're trying to send. I thought that was really cool and impactful, and I really liked that about the ending. I just think the journey to the end was a little bit convoluted and a little bit heavy-handed and extended and dragged on and paced poorly, I mean, an argument can be made that this is a flawless masterpiece, with the atmosphere, a lot of the set pieces, the gameplay, the overall themes and message that it gives at the end, and a lot of the gameplay elements are really cool, and a lot of character building moments. But I mean, I understand people thinking this is a masterpiece, and I understand people thinking this is a shitty game. I get both sides. I just don't agree with either of them. I'm sort of in the middle. I would agree that this could be a flawed masterpiece, but I will say it's kind of follows the same things as, 12 Years a Slave, Requiem for a Dream, Schindler's List. It's a great experience to have, but I never really want to have it again because it's a very depressing, dark story that really bogs you down. But the end, I think it's kind of a little bit of a positive ending. I think a lot of people think it's a negative one. I think it's actually a positive one because she forgave Joel at the end. The whole game's about forgiveness. I think it's a little bit of a convoluted way to get there, and it's a little drawn out, but you get there, and it's an important message to explore. And I think I don't think it does the characters dirty. I mean, again, I wanted to see more Joel and more Ellie, but sometimes that's not the story Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog wanted to tell. And the fact that people are saying that Neil Druckmann completely ruined the industry and he's a shitty person for doing this, it's ridiculous. Like, relax, guys. He's not making this game strictly to piss you off. He's trying to make a meaningful story. Like, just chill out. If you don't like, you're allowed to not like the story he told, but like that doesn't make him a shitty person, and they don't deserve death threats for it. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, guys. It is just a video game, and it is just a story. If you don't like it, that is fine. I just choose to see the positive in it rather than the negative. I mean, it is fucking far from perfect. There's a lot of flaws with The Last of Us Part 2, but there's also a lot to love in this game. And, I'm kind of sort of finding the middle ground here with it. And it's kind of a cop-out. I don't either love or hate the game. I thought I enjoyed my experience with it, and I'm glad I had the experience with it, but I probably won't be revisiting the game again. Let's just say that. Maybe in a couple years I'll want to experience it, because I find myself wanting to play the first game over again a lot. But I don't know about this one. Just that second half just drags so much. I just don't know if I really wanted, go through it again. But the story I thought was pretty good, and I think it ends in a really great way. So that's my opinion, guys. I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comment section if you hate my opinion on it. I mean, you're allowed to. I mean, like I said, I understand if you hate this game. I also understand if you love this game, but that mine's mixed. I have a mixed opinion on it. I gave my thoughts. It was probably a very long and convoluted, my thoughts on this game, exactly like the game itself, very long and convoluted. But so yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode, guys.